For the first time in over 50 years, human boots are preparing to press into lunar dust, and the mission launching right now is more ambitious, more dangerous, and more consequential than anything Apollo ever attempted. Apollo reached the moon with computers less powerful than a modern calculator. NASA is now returning with technology that did not exist a decade ago, aiming for a place Apollo never dared to go. Why is NASA returning to the moon right now? What exactly are they planning to do there? And why does the entire future of deep space exploration depend on whether this mission succeeds? I remember watching archive footage of Neil Armstrong stepping onto the moon and feeling something I could not name, a mixture of pride, disbelief, and a deep awareness that humanity had done something it would never fully recover from. Every child who ever looked up at a full moon and wondered what it feels like to stand there, that dream is closer to becoming a reality for real human beings than it has been since 1972. In 2026, NASA's Artemis program has brought us to a moment that felt impossible just a decade ago. And what is being planned for the lunar surface goes far beyond planting a flag and coming home. Today, the real documented plan behind NASA's Artemis mission will show you exactly how humans are returning to the moon, what they will do when they get there, and what technology is making it possible. What the headlines are not telling you is that this mission is not just about the moon, it is about establishing a permanent human presence in deep space and building the infrastructure for eventual crewed missions to Mars. Welcome back to tomorrow's science. Let's dive in. The moon is not just a destination, it is a strategic outpost, a testing ground, and a launch platform. And every space agency on Earth knows that whoever establishes a permanent presence there first holds a fundamental advantage. The single most important reason NASA is targeting the lunar South Pole specifically is confirmed deposits of water ice inside permanently shadowed craters, water that can be converted into rocket fuel, oxygen, and drinking water. NASA is also racing against time. China has announced its own crewed lunar mission, targeting the same South Pole region, making this not just a scientific mission, but a defining moment in 21st century space competition. The Space Launch System is NASA's most powerful rocket ever built, taller than the Statue of Liberty, generating 8.8 million pounds of thrust at launch, and capable of sending more mass to the moon than any rocket in history. The Orion spacecraft, sitting atop the SLS, is the most advanced crewed vehicle NASA has ever built, designed to keep astronauts alive through deep space radiation, extreme temperature swings, and a fiery Earth re-entry faster than any previous capsule. The most critical piece of new hardware is the Human Landing System, a purpose-built lunar lander developed by SpaceX based on Starship technology, designed to carry astronauts from lunar orbit all the way down to the surface. Gateway is a small space station being assembled in lunar orbit, the first human outpost beyond Earth orbit, serving as a staging point, a research laboratory, and a refueling hub for all future missions to the moon and beyond. Unlike Apollo, which flew directly to the moon and came straight home, Artemis missions dock at Gateway first, allowing crews to rest, resupply, and transfer to the lander in a way that makes the entire system reusable and sustainable. Gateway is being built with partners from Europe, Canada, Japan, and the UAE, making it the most internationally collaborative deep space mission in human history, and a symbol of what nations can achieve together. For the first time in history, a woman and a person of color will walk on the moon. NASA has selected a diverse crew for Artemis that represents not just America, but the full range of humanity reaching for the stars. The target landing zone near Shackleton Crater at the lunar South Pole was chosen because it receives near constant sunlight on its rim for solar power, while its interior holds the water ice that makes long-term habitation possible. The crew will spend approximately 7 days on the surface collecting rock samples, deploying scientific instruments, testing water ice extraction technology, and surveying the terrain for the future permanent base. The Apollo spacesuits were brilliant for their era, but designed for the equatorial moon, the Artemis suit is built for the extreme cold, the rough terrain, and the permanently shadowed craters of the lunar South Pole. The new Artemis spacesuit, developed by Axiom Space, features enhanced mobility joints that allow astronauts to bend, kneel, and collect samples far more naturally, with life support systems capable of operating in temperatures as low as -170 degrees Celsius. The visor of the new suit includes a heads-up display system, giving astronauts real-time information about their oxygen levels, suit pressure, communication status, and navigation data, everything a lunar explorer needs visible at a glance. One of the most critical experiments involves drilling into the permanently shadowed crater floors to extract water ice, melt and purify it, then electrolyze it into hydrogen and oxygen, essentially making rocket fuel from moon water. The South Pole rock samples will give scientists their first geological data from this region. The ancient crater walls preserve a record of the solar system stretching back over 4 billion years that no Earth laboratory can access. Artemis will also deploy the most advanced radiation monitoring network ever placed on the lunar surface, data critical for designing the permanent habitats that will eventually allow humans to live on the moon for months at a time. Beyond the initial landing missions, NASA's roadmap includes a permanent Artemis Base Camp on the lunar surface, a structure where rotating crews of astronauts will live and work for weeks at a time by the end of this decade. A pressurized lunar terrain vehicle will allow crews to drive hundreds of kilometers across the lunar surface, without spacesuits vastly expanding the range and duration of exploration compared to anything Apollo's open rovers achieved. Every technology being tested on the moon: habitat design, resource extraction, long-duration life support, radiation shielding, is directly applicable to a future crewed Mars mission, making the Lunar Base Camp the most important construction project in human history. The moon has no magnetic field and no atmosphere. Astronauts on the surface are exposed to cosmic radiation and solar particle events that can deliver a dangerous dose in hours, making radiation protection the single greatest medical challenge of the mission. Lunar dust is not like Earth dust. It is microscopically sharp, electrostatically charged, and clings to everything. And Apollo astronauts found it infiltrating equipment, scratching visors, and irritating lungs within just a few days. The Artemis program carries a projected cost of over $90 billion, and sustaining that investment through changing political administrations and budget pressures remains the greatest non-technical challenge NASA has ever faced. The return to the moon is not just a scientific or political achievement. It is a statement that humanity has not given up on its greatest ambitions, and that the drive to explore is as much a part of us as breathing. I want to know when the first Artemis astronaut steps onto the lunar surface in this era. What do you hope they find, discover, or say that will matter to the rest of us back on Earth? Leave your answer in the comments and subscribe to Tomorrow's Science so you never miss our next deep dive into the missions, the science, and the human stories shaping the future of space exploration.